Right now, we are talking with Republican Representative of California's 5th Congressional District, Tom McClintock, live from Washington, D.C., from your office. Congressman McClintock, thanks very much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yesterday marked the first 100 days of the Trump presidency, and it's certainly been a busy 100 days. Tariffs, trade wars, immigration, Elon Musk and Doge team working to save the U.S. money, the Gulf of America. What stands out most to you? And maybe it's something I did not mention.
Well, no, I think you covered the ground pretty thoroughly. He was elected on two major issues: securing our border and reviving the economy. And in the first 100 days, he has done a magnificent job of securing our borders. Illegal border crossings are down 95%, gotaways down 99%, 150,000 illegal aliens, many with criminal records, have been arrested or deported. He signed the Lake and Riley Act that assures that the Democrats' open border policies can be challenged by state attorneys general in the future. So those are all incredible accomplishments. We've got a long way to go on the economy. I mean, we're bringing prices down. Gasoline prices are down about 7%, energy prices down about 2%, prescription drug prices down about 2%, wholesale egg prices down 50%, inflation rates are down 2 months in a row. Real average hourly earnings are up about 0.4% for middle and low income workers. But we've got a long way to go, and that's where the next 100 days will be absolutely crucial. He's working right now to stop the biggest tax increase in American history from taking effect next year. That's what this whole reconciliation battle in Congress right now is all about. That tax increase would cost a family earning $75,000 an additional $1,500 a year in new income taxes. That's what the Democrats are advocating. President Trump's trying to stop that tax hike, end the taxation on tips and overtime and Social Security. He's aiming to reduce spending by $1 trillion a year by putting a stop to the waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal system. That's what the Doge work is all about. He's already identified about $160 billion for rescission. And then he's rolling back nearly $2 trillion of regulatory costs the Democrats heaped on the economy in the last 4 years. And that's already brought energy prices down in particular. Now, the tariffs are causing a great deal of turbulence, and I worry about that because tariffs always hurt the economy of whatever country imposes them. Their only justifications to use as leverage to pressure trading partners to adopt free trade agreements. And I think that's where the president is heading.
Yeah, because now there's word this morning that the U.S. economy contracted the first time in 3 years with the GDP and price increase. But the president says this is why people voted for him, to ultimately, like you said, get our money issues and our economy in order. So you think it will all kind of find its way back?
Oh, and I think that's what the next 100 days will be about. You know, you cannot spin the economy. Everybody knows in their own lives how the economy's doing. And I think the only thing that's going to matter in the 2026 election is their answer to the very simple question, are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. But if we can get these policies in place by July, the tax policies, the regulatory rollback, the spending cuts, I think that, and usher in a new era of global free trade, because I think that's where he's heading with these tariffs right now, is to use his leverage to introduce free trade principles back into the global economy. I think within a year, people are going to be feeling the effects pretty dramatically in their own lives. And that's going to decide the success or failure of the administration. And that still has to play out. And you say bringing this happening in July. That's only 3 months away. But we know with this administration, a lot can happen very quickly. Is there an issue or a policy that you were hoping that the president would maybe have addressed in his first 100 days but has not yet? Well, I told him a few weeks ago that the sooner he can start sending us rescission bills, clawing back the excess spending, and the sooner he can start sending us bilateral free trade agreements, the better. And he lit up at that and said, yes, we're going to be getting you a lot of both. So that's what I'm going to be looking for over the next 100 days. Okay. You were part of a group
who greeted the Central Valley Honor Flight yesterday morning at the Capitol. Will you let us know why it is so important for you to be part of this Washington, D.C. experience for our veterans?
Because of how important their service has been to our country. You realize just 1.3 million Americans out of our population of about 321 million serve today in the armed forces, which means that just 0.4% of our population wakes up every morning with one goal in mind, and that's to protect the other 99.6% of us. And you look at all these veterans and you realize only 7.3% of our population, 7 out of every 100 of us, has ever done so. So Winston Churchill's ode to the Royal Air Force rings clearly when you consider those figures. Never has so much been owed by so many to so few.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful quote. I'd like to go back to something because we've got just a little bit more time. I'd like to ask you, when we were talking about strengthening the borders just at the beginning of the interview, and concerns that, yes, many people in America, especially those who voted for President Trump, want stronger borders or a more manageable immigration system. But what about kind of the people who get caught up in the net who, were not guilty of something, but yet were still deported?
Well, the only people being deported are those who have no legal right to be here. Under the INA, they're subject to expedited removal if they've crossed the border illegally, which, by the way, is a federal crime. Or lied on immigration documents, or been convicted of a crime, or failed initial screening for asylum. This is an administrative power under the law, not a judicial proceeding. When they're taken into custody, the administration gives them 36 hours to file a writ of habeas corpus, which guarantees their due process rights. But after that, the law requires they be removed. And the fact is that most of them are phony asylum claims that have already had their day in court and have final orders of removal against them, and yet have simply refused to leave. And, you look at all the litigation going on right now. So those who say, well, we're denying due process, well, what do you think all the litigation's about? Okay.
Congressman McClintock, thank you very much for taking the time this morning. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great day. We'll be right back.